Next, we have the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion? Ms. Baumgartner.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Is there a second? Mr. Haltwanger?
I second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, and that passes 6-0. Next is the approval of the minutes. May I have a motion? Ms. Lovelace.
I'll move that we, whoops, guess I better turn this on. I move that we approve the minutes for the July 13th, 2015 board meeting.
Is there a second? Ms. Baumgartner seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, and that passes 6-0. Next is our superintendent's report, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Hefner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Indeed, this is an exciting time. We're beginning our countdown, and today is -7, as we call it, before kids return. And so the excitement will build every day from now until the students actually come back. The schedule, as was mentioned by Mr. Gant in his prayer, is that our teachers come back on Wednesday, August 12th, and we'll have our big back-to-school rally at Irmo High on Thursday, August 13th. We hope that you all board members will be there, along with all members of our staff. And the students will come back on Wednesday, August 19th. We have certainly been busy all summer, working on professional development, training our teachers. And one of the most heartwarming things is the number of people we have who go to activities for which they receive absolutely no compensation. They come voluntarily for training. Our people are so hungry for professional development and so willing to participate, and we appreciate that so very much. We've certainly been working on staffing. As Dr. Jakes will tell you, I think we're in a slightly better position than we were 1 year ago at this time. However, we have a couple of openings here and there and yonder. We have some late resignations, and we're working on those, and we are in good shape, have a plan for being in good shape once students are back for sure. And of course, another big project of the summer is always our facilities, to do our deep cleaning and our spiffing up and all of our major projects, and most of them have come along just exactly according to plan, and our buildings will be nice and clean and ready for our students' return. Of course, we're very excited about the opening of Chapin Middle School. That will probably, it'll be a beautiful building. It may not look great on day one, but it will look great for the next 50 years once we get everything in place there. And we're certainly very excited about the repurposed use of the old Chapin building, Chapin Middle School building, which will now be Chapin Intermediate, serving grades 5 and 6. And one of the things you'll notice on that campus is an absence of portable classrooms. They've gone away. We also will have a new name at Crossroads. It will be Crossroads Intermediate School, reflecting the population they serve, grade 6. So again, very exciting. And of course, we will now be watching our enrollments on a daily basis. And of course, there's nothing firm until we see the whites of their eyes. But we will get daily reports. And as of today, our enrollment is up over -7 day of last year by more than 100 students. So we'll see if that holds or not, as we do have students enrolling daily, and of course we have some that we find out that are leaving daily. So we'll continue to monitor that to make sure we have our resources lined up where we need them to be. So we are indeed excited about the countdown, and look forward to another great school year in 2015-2016. At this time, we'll get a report from our Office of Design and Construction, Mr. Keith McAllister. Our representative from our construction management firm has another commitment this evening. I don't know if Mr. McAllister wishes to mention that or not, but it's something really pretty exciting and noteworthy.
Barry Evans, has been our Cummings representative, has been here the last couple of times, but he is actually coaching a minor league baseball team, 9 and 10-year-olds, and they were in the World Series that's being hosted over in Lexington. And so he has a son that plays on that team, so he was right excited about that. And they actually beat Tennessee Friday. I lost my days. They lost to Florida, I think, Saturday, and they were playing Arkansas tonight. So he begged out to go, and I couldn't say as I blamed him. But as I start the monthly update on Chapin Middle, let me start by saying there's some folks I need to make sure that we give appropriate attention to. The folks at EdCon, Eddie Edwards, Bart Cease, and Terry Nations have just gone above and beyond in helping us get through these trying times, get this middle school finished. I mean, it's been a 7-day-a-week. Eddie Edwards I run into there most every morning before 7 o'clock. He's back there by 5 o'clock in the afternoons. He checks in a time or two during the day. So, he's taken a personal interest in it, and I don't have any doubt that has a bearing on where we are. But from Cummings Corporation, Roscoe Russell has been right on top of everything, and as I told you last time, y'all hit a home run when you hired Anna Miller, and she's been boots on the ground since day one and just done a heck of a job working with us and working with the off school facilities. To squelch a rumor before I start, I will tell you that there was a rumor going around. I understand that the gym was not, or the facility was not sufficient for hosting middle school events. I didn't know anything about any regulations. I checked the High School League website this weekend to see if there was anything, and I actually called the High School League today and spoke with Drew Nix, and there are no regulations about that. So when you hear that rumor, you can put it to bed. That's all it is a vicious rumor, and there's nothing to it. Now, the project itself, Chapin Middle School, they actually finished the paving. They were finishing up the asphalt today, the parent drop-off loop in the parking lot. So the asphalt is now down, I'm pretty sure all of it, and they are supposed to be there Wednesday and Thursday of this week to do the striping. Gym floor has been finished. They're waiting. They were letting it set up. They'll start painting it this week. Window comes in daily. We had a big load today. The commitment that Eddie Edwards has made or told the glass folks is if it isn't on our campus by Friday, then he expects the 1/4-inch glass to go in those holes. He wants everything closed up by Monday. He said no plywood, none of that foolishness. He wants glass and windows. Ceiling tile installation is complete now, I'm pretty sure. They had one more corridor of floor tile to put in. It was the upstairs corridor and 3 classrooms upstairs. And other than that, it's the landing areas. Everything else is complete as far as floor tile goes. And Bondage tells me they'll be out of there tomorrow. But that pretty much breaks down that front sheet. There's your aerials of the site. Administrative corridor, we actually have a certificate of occupancy to operate the front portion of our office where Anna can get into hers, Karen can get into hers. I think the folks can get into the front area, but it does not go all the way back through the guidance area. We haven't gotten permission to occupy that. And on the right, you see one of our classroom corridors. The classroom look, you see the area between the 2 whiteboards is where your smart board will go. Okay. The picture on the right is if you were standing on the stage, looking to see how long the lunch line was. That's what you're kind of looking at. And we now have furniture sitting in the center there, but it hadn't been placed where you see some boxes and that kind of stuff on the right. The gymnasium, and actually the floor has been done since this picture was taken, and it's got a coat on it, and there on the right you see the exterior elevation. Breaks it down. Be glad to answer any questions any of you may have, or something I didn't think to mention.
Ms. Hammond?
This is just as an interest as a teacher. What type of desk now, what kind of desk will be in the middle school?
It's actually two-piece desks. It's a chair, and which you know, and truthfully, as a high school principal, I went to that 20 years ago because I went in to observe a teacher, and I found out I didn't fit so well into one of those one-piece desks. So, you know, to be fair to all the kids, you're much better if you've got a two-piece. You got a chair and a
I'm
desk.
so glad to hear that.
Yes, ma'am.
That's great.
Okay. I think we're good on that. Anything else?
Anything else? Mr. Gant?
Mr. McAllister, that's a great report. I really appreciate it. I know the whole community does. I was going to ask you, we've all watched in awe of all the different things going on. I see Scott Carlin here, but our other projects, the summer capital projects, is that culminating at the point we think they should be winding up to from?
I think so. That's what Scott's going to talk to you about here in the next few minutes.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
He and Lynn take care of those anymore.
I didn't realize you were going.
Yes, sir. He's fixing to, he's next up to bat, so to speak. But you know, again, it's been a challenge at the middle school. You know, it took us a long time to get started, and then the rain didn't help us. But I can't tell you enough good things about how the people have stepped up, and I mean work 24/7 to get us in that building, and it's still their mission in life right now. So I'm right proud of them for that.
All right, thank you, Mr. McAllister, and you have been heroic yourself in helping us pull this off, and we look forward to seeing the finished product here very shortly. At this time, we'll go to our Chief Finance Officer, Mr. Lynn Richardson, for his monthly reports. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Dr. Hefner, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'll ask Scott Carlin to come up to the podium while I'm going over these numbers so he can give you a visual to see what's been happening on some of these projects that we've had going on this summer, and hopefully answer Mr. Gant's questions. The first, in Exhibit B, the first thing you come across in here is the 2015 capital budget. Don't have anything to report on the current year capital budget because this report is through June the 30th. Although I think some of the things that Mr. Carlin will show you will include some of the items from the current year's capital budget since they are rolling as well. Everything is, you know, okay. We still have some projects that are open. I think that Mr. Carlin will talk about a little bit as he goes through it, but you know, out of a $11.5 million budget, we've got a remaining balance of approximately $1.5 million. And if you've got any specific questions on anything, I'd be glad to try to answer them. Then the next report that I have is for the bond referendum. That's also the second part of Exhibit C. And that's Fund 535 if you're looking for it. I will draw your attention to, I guess, probably the thing that's at the top of all of our list right now, and that's on page 2. Towards the bottom of the page would be the Chapin Middle School budget with an original budget of $27.1 million and $2.8 million remaining after everything's encumbered so far. And then the last page, our remaining balance is a little more than $6 million total. Be glad to try to entertain any specific questions you might have. If not, I'll turn it over to Mr. Carlin.
Well, good evening, Board, Madam Chair, Dr. Hefner. We had a very successful summer. I should say we are still having a successful summer. because we have not completed all our projects. There are actually only 3 projects that we have not started any work on. We were certainly in the designing planning stages. The rest of them are either complete or in the process of being completed. I'm happy to announce that none of those projects that have not yet been completed will impact the start of school. There's only one project I'm going to show you from last year's Capital of the Fund 585, and that'll be the beginning slide. Everything else is from our current budget and involves the majority of the work that we performed this summer. So if you'll indulge me, I'll show you some of the things that we've been doing for our students. This is a project out at Spring Hill High School, and it was to improve the athletic fields. The initial construction project had done the rough grading and created a place for future athletic fields. They weren't really usable for sports, and that's what we're in the process of accomplishing right now at Spring Hill High School. Yes, ma'am.
Did you have in mind what type of sports?
Well, right now it's going to be used for the majority for PE, both for the high school and also probably for the middle school. Beyond that, they're soccer-sized fields. There's 2 of those, and there's also a pad for a future tennis court if that comes into being.
I can't remember what, we'll have to find out what the plans were when we initially talked about this school.
Yes, ma'am. But this will get the 2 soccer fields playable so that they can, participate in PE athletics out there.
Oh, so PE?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Correct. At Oak Point Elementary School, we did some repairs, mostly cosmetic, to the building, and I apologize, these pictures are very difficult with this particular work we did. On the left-hand side, what I'm trying to highlight is a joint that needed to be retooled and recaulked, and on the right-hand side, you can't really see the joint in the corner of the picture. Okay. And here, we had to do some joint work with our construction joints on the building, on the outside of the building. On the left-hand side, it's difficult to see, but on the right-hand side, you can see the worker recaulking those joints. Of course, we redid everything on the outside to make sure it was weatherproof, and also did the cosmetic changes or repairs that needed to be done inside so that class can be conducted, the restrooms are working the way they're supposed to be, and all that has gone well. Moving on to River Springs, this was a monster heating, ventilation, and air conditioning renovation project this summer. We entirely replaced those systems on all the classroom wings. And what you see here is one of our corridors where we've taken the ceiling out, of course, on the left, and now we're back in place on the right. We did a number of things with this system. Unfortunately, and I've told you this before when we did Dutch Fork Middle School last year, some of our history includes putting in systems that were cheap to put in, but they're expensive to operate, and they're not really that conducive to an educational environment. In each of these classrooms at River Springs, you had these big boxes in the corner that made a lot of noise and didn't do that good a job of distributing the air across the room. Now all those are gone. You have ductwork piped in every classroom overhead. You've got dedicated fresh air machines, and it's a much more pleasant environment. It's a much more quiet environment in that school, and Ms. Cohen is very pleased with what went on. And the team, like Mr. McAllister was saying, the team that got occupancy in that building last week, they did a monumental effort. These are more pictures. This is just a classroom where we had the ceiling out and, of course, back in place. Oh, also, all the lighting in that school that was replaced is LED lighting. You can see where the hole was, where that unit used to go through the wall, and of course we've come back and bricked it up. At Irmo Middle School in the cafeteria, we called this Phase 3 replacement in the main building of Irmo Middle School. Again, full HVAC replacement in that space, all LED lighting going back, and it's interesting. if any of you go to the new Y that's on Broad River Road, if it's light outside, the LED lights that are closest to the outside, they're either barely on or off because they don't need it. There's enough light coming in from outside. These lights do the same thing. When you've got the light coming in through that clear story, they're barely on. And of course, as it gets dark, they come back out, making it much more efficient. More pictures from that same space. We also replaced glazing around that entire cafeteria, which did a couple of things. For all that glazing was single pane glass. So you can imagine the heat load that those HVAC systems had to endure. So by replacing the glazing, we also dropped the size of the HVAC systems and, of course, dropped the energy requirements for that space. Dutch Fork Middle School. This is a project to renovate the office area and to create a secure entrance in that school. It had a secure entrance, but it wasn't suitable for accommodating visitors and folks to come in who are waiting for a meeting. So this is what this project's all about. You can see there, it was just a corridor at one time on the left-hand side, and now we are incorporating both a reception area, a couple of offices, giving them their conference room back that was taken to create the original secure entrance. And then in this picture, this is where the waiting area will be. And you can't see the door, it's blocked by that column there, but it's on the left-hand side of that column. It'll give them a decent area to be received properly at the school. Of course, one of the biggest problems at Dutch Fork Middle has always been people trying to determine where you enter the office. And what you see on the right-hand side will be a tower similar to what you have at Dutch Fork High, not as big, of course, but that indicates where the entrance is for the school. Chapin High School, this is the final phase of roof replacement, and it's on what's called the A building. It's the old gymnasium, now the cafeteria building. And again, left hand, right hand, the replacement on the right. Along with this project, we got rid of a lot of the old HVAC equipment that was no longer necessary, not being used, so the roof will be a lot cleaner and less opportunities for future leaks. Chapin High Stadium. Most people think concrete, it's there forever, but it's not, because it's porous material and it's subject to degradation just like any other material. Chapin High was in some serious need of attention. You can see on the left-hand side what the condition was. On the right-hand side, this is after a really intense pressure washing. You can see where all the new joint material has gone in on the right-hand side. And there is a coating system that you'll see in this picture. On the left-hand side, of course, that's original. And then you can see where even the joint on the left-hand side is covered up on the right with that coating material. That's going to really dress that stadium up and in the process protect it for years to come. Just another example of what the changes will look like. This is not part of the capital project, but it was a big topic of discussion, and I thought you all might be interested in seeing some of the work that was done in the process of the City of Columbia putting that water main through. Of course, I was very excited about this project because we had some really poor asphalt paving that went around the back of that campus, and because of where they ran the water line, we have brand new pavement at that school, as well as some of the other things that are going to happen in front of the school, like landscaping this fall and things like that. But you can see on the left some of that alligator cracking, and on the right, of course, we've got fresh pavement. These are some of the, again, on the left-hand side, what the condition of some of that roadway was. And on the right-hand side, this is only interesting to a geek engineer like me, but they're actually filling that entire trench that they dug with flowable fill, which means that thing ain't gonna sink. It's gonna be substantial. And then one more picture showing you, the top left picture is the back drive to the school. The picture below that is standing out on Columbia Ave, looking towards the A building or gymnasium on that far right entrance. And then on the right-hand side, you can see some of where they've actually dug trenches, they've covered it back up. There's hydro seeding out there, so the school will look presentable for next week. And the contractor has really done an excellent job out there and really accommodated us and all the work we needed to do at the school, not closing drives down. It was just, he did his job well and did it quickly and thoroughly. And pending any questions, those are some of the things that we were able to accomplish this summer.
Are there any questions? Ms. Hammond?
I was wondering when you, just for future reference, when we get a quality air conditioning unit, because it does look like over the years that I've either been a teacher or a parent, we have had to replace them in lots of our schools.
Yes, ma'am.
What should be the life expectancy for these, the newer, better ones?
For the systems? Mm-hmm. Well, a standard rule of thumb is on what we call an air-cooled system. I mean, your unit at home is air-cooled. This building is actually a water-cooled system. You have a big cooling tower outside. An air-sourced system should last, for planning purposes,
right,
about 15 years.
Yeah, that's my idea, because I think that's one of the things we've tried to do is plan ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know we do a rotating over the years, and I know that's just always been an expense that we do have to continue.
Yes, ma'am.
So I was curious how these new ones might last us.
A water source system, your planning factor is 20 years. But because of
realistic, yeah,
good maintenance, we've been able to stretch ours a little longer. But these systems that are going in are very efficient, and particularly at River Springs and also Irma Middle. You'll know the next time we have a board meeting at Irma Middle in that cafeteria, you'll notice the difference, because when that system used to cut on, it was hard to hear. You won't have that anymore.
That's great. Those changes at Dutch Fork Middle School are going to be fabulous.
Yeah,
that's going to really.
It's going to be nice. And again, it's when the original secure entrance was made at the school, it took away one of their conference rooms. There was really no waiting area in there, and this allowed us to take some really unused space in that corridor and turn it into something that I think everybody will be pleased with, and it'll be very functional.
And I think the people who redid the concrete at Chapin, the stadium, did an amazing job. That's
gone very well. It's interesting. The same company that's doing the roof, Watts Roofing, they started a few years ago a waterproofing side of the business, and now they can handle both of those. So same company doing both of those.
Looks great. Any questions? All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Carlin.
Yes, ma'am.
And that concludes the superintendent's report. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Hefner. We didn't have anyone who signed up for public participation, so we'll move on to the action agenda.